one other thing to talk about is, we've been talking a lot about this new build, like, or if an entrepreneur or small business owner comes in, they want a brand new space. But you guys are also involved heavily in lease renewals, canceling leases, and renegotiating. Can you kind of go into why you really need a tenant rep to really come in and do that?
Well, again, in this post-COVID era, there's a lot of things changing. Not everyone's going to keep their lease. Not everyone's going to keep an office. So assuming they are going to keep an office, though, they're going to do one of three things with their office space. They're either going to renew, relocate, or renegotiate. And renew is simple, somewhat simple. At least definitionally, it's simple. They're staying in the same place.
Sure.
Relocate is simple to understand. You're moving from building A to building B, and renegotiate can be a very complex situation. So going back to first renew, again, you never want to go in and just try and renew a direct lease or a new lease with your landlord. You're leaving money on the table. Going back to what I said earlier, many tenants sometimes want to make it an administrative task. They think it's easy. They get along well with their landlord, but it's not like an apartment rental lease where you're buddy, and there really isn't a lot of negotiation. There is always negotiation. And again, if you don't have someone on your side, you're going to lose that. So maybe you think, okay, I get along really well with the landlord. You go in, hey, Mr. Landlord, it's COVID time. You pound the table a little bit. You threaten whatever. He goes, you know what? You're right. I'm going to lower your rent $3 a square foot. I'm a really nice guy. I'm going to paint the space and steam clean your carpeting and throw in 2 months of free rent. And you go, you know what? That's great. I was able to afford the rent before. Spruce up my space a little bit. It's a little bit cheaper. Let's do it. And then I'm done. Administrative task done. Meanwhile, Bradford Allen comes in with somebody similar size, and they got 5 months of free rent. They lowered the rent $4 a square foot. And instead of just steam cleaning, carpet, and painting, we built out a brand new kitchen with stainless steel appliances and new lighting throughout the premises. Point being, the landlord was ready, willing, and able to give that to you as well. You just didn't ask for it. You didn't know to ask for it. And if you had used someone like us, well, we're going to ask for it, we're going to get it for you, and it's still not going to cost you any money, and you're going to end up in a better situation. It happens every single time. I can't always prove it to you if you're dead set on doing that, but I know from my experience, because I've been on both sides, tenants lose the negotiation if they're going in unrepresented.
Well, and you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, this is not their core competency. This is your core competency. You know what's happening in the market. You've got that experience. And it's tough to find that information in real time, I would say, like out there. So
there's more and more information out there, but those are some of the elements that are still commercial real estate is one of the last bastions of not being totally all the new bells and whistles in the tech world. So we still are, we're getting there, but we're not quite into that. So all that information they're trying to get it all, but it's not quite all out there quite yet. And for a second, we talked about renewals. We didn't talk about relocations and renegotiations, which is really, really important.
Sure.
So the relocation process is when you potentially might stay, but maybe your landlord just doesn't have the space and now you have to move. So the goal there obviously is to get the best transaction possible. And the way to do that is to create leverage. And the way to create leverage is to have multiple opportunities. And we touched on a little bit earlier, to go out and do that on your own. Pick up the phone, start calling all these buildings, trying to get the information, put it together, disseminate it, set up the tours. That's very time consuming. And to your point earlier, you, Mr. Tenant, have a core competency. And if you hand this off to an underling somewhere in the company, they certainly don't know anything about real estate. How are they going to relay those knowledges? So just saving the time, energy, and effort is a task that a good tenant rep broker brings. And then again, the negotiation structure of pitting one building against the other. And we really do pit one building against the other and let them vie for your tenancy. And if you have the time to do it, and time as an ally in a lease negotiation, you're going to say, okay, well, let's go back to here and let's go back over here, and we can play one off the other. And especially in a heated market, when it's a tenant's market like it is now during the COVID era, post-COVID era, you're going to get even more concessions than you had thought possible. And the renegotiation is going to be key, because you might have 10,000 feet today and half your people are working at home. And you said, you know what, I really only need 5,000 feet, but I've got 3 years left on my lease. What can I do? Well, some landlords will say, sorry, Charlie, that's it. We're not working with you. But there are others that will say, you know what, you've been a good tenant. I want to keep your tenancy. I need something in return, but I can work with you and cut your space in half or move you elsewhere in the building. But some of the things I might need are a longer term. don't beat me up as much on the rate. If I gave $5 off to somebody new coming in, I might give you $2 or $3 off. But it's a conversation that has to happen, and having it through a trained professional who talks the same language as the other side. That's why you want a tenant rep on your side of the table. And landlords will work with us because not only myself, who has 37, 38 years of experience and have done hundreds and thousands of deals for my career, but Bradford Allen has many other brokers like myself at different ages of their career. And together we bring hundreds of thousands of square feet to the marketplace every year. So they want to work with us, and we talk. The guy next to me knows the deals that I do, and I know the deals he does. And we keep track of those types of things, so we know how to best service our tenants in that way. So getting into the post-COVID era and thinking of what sizes, and if you're a new company, what do you need about big or small? The shared office providers are a great alternative in some sense. The Regis has been out there for years. WeWork has had their problems. They're in the news, but I think they're going to make it. But there's over 40 brands in Chicago who offer a different type of shared office facility. Some of them are co-working and they're wide open. Some of them are all glass walls and beautiful and high end. So again, depending on the budget and the need and the timeline, it can be a great stepping stone to finding a space. With that, we also look at the sublease market to make sure that we have all the options available. And landlords today are going to be much more flexible. They have to be. They realize that not every tenant has the answers. And some of these pre-built spaces, the landlord's going to be willing to do shorter term to get some cash flow going. And there's the chance, of course, that once a tenant's in the space, they love the space and it works, and then they extend longer. A little bit captive audience, the landlord might do a little bit better the second time around, but keeping space vacant doesn't do anybody any good. Right. So flexibility is the key, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the next year or two as we try to figure out the post-COVID era.
If you want to recommend somebody to appear on the podcast as a guest, please email us at info@opsqc.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a podcast, please reach out to us at the same email. We'd love to have your support.